Welcome to another episode of the Nashville Dads. This week we have on Parker Smith. Parker runs Guitar Shed for teaching music lessons in Atlanta and is a songwriter. We talked about how he started Guitar Shed, how he celebrated his daughter turning 1, and his birth story. We hope you enjoyed the episode.
I love Nashville and visited, and played there a few times.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're lucky. We kind of got to settle into our current house for a couple of years before having a kid, and had everything kind of laid out, which is nice. So
yeah. How long have you lived in Atlanta your entire life?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
I did undergrad in Miami and then grad school in Austin.
Okay.
So except for those two areas,
yes.
been in Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Austin's a great place. When were you in Austin?
Yeah, it was cool, man. We were there 2014, 2015.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So
yeah, that city was really blowing up.
Yeah, that was kind of around the time. It was like people were like, "No more, nowhere. We're full. Like, get out of here.
We're done.
Yeah.
Please leave." Yes.
So I wouldn't say we weren't welcome, but it was definitely the feeling among residents that was like, things are getting a little crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's such a beautiful town, and we really love just obviously the music and the food, but
Yep.
there's just, I felt like a lot of people are just like outside all the time, which is great.
Yeah.
You have like Barton Springs is a big pool there, and just people are just doing more stuff outside than here in Atlanta.
Yep.
So
I just recently moved to Denver, so we're not all Nashville dads on this podcast anymore. And part of
I'm gonna
it
be a Murfreesboro dad.
Yeah.
That's right, just dads. We'll change the name of the podcast to dads.
Yeah.
But part of the appeal of coming out here was how much people just spend outside, how much infrastructure is built around it, and how I could probably walk a mile in any direction and find 5 parks and playgrounds. Because it's just, if you're in a community that values going outside. Also, Atlanta is freaking hot and sweaty. I don't want to be outside when I'm in Atlanta. But it changes the vibe. It changes your rhythms. It changes everything. Whenever I just spent 6 hours outside. How do you feel? That's probably better than being inside for 6 hours.
yeah. Yeah, I could agree with that.
Yes.
I was just in Denver visiting some buddies and went to Red Rocks for the first time.
Nice.
Oh man.
So that was super cool. And but yeah, they're kind of outside. They live right near Red Rocks. I think Idledale is the town, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was cool just to kind of see a different lifestyle out there. And
yeah. Did you see a show at Red Rocks, or did you just walk around?
Yeah, I saw Little Feat was opening for the Avett Brothers.
Oh, nice.
Oh man.
So that was really cool. I'm a big Little Feat fan. I like the Avett Brothers too, but that was kind of the big draw for me. And I'm a big, concert goer, music fan. So that was on my bucket list to check it out. So
I mean, I've only seen one show there. We've only been out here for a month, so it's a very recent move.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one show I saw was in 2013 in September, and it was a full moon. So it was 60 degrees, not a cloud in the sky, a full moon, and watching music. And you're like, is this, I shouldn't I'm going to jinx it if I say something, right?
Yeah.
I should just stand here and not move, because the second I say this is awesome, a cloud's going to come over, it's going to hail. I'm a pessimist, just so you know.
Well, yeah, it can get dicey with the weather out there too. I know it's probably happened at some shows with some hail. And
it actually has. Last year, it hailed in the middle of a show, and they kept the show going.
Really?
So yeah. But anyway, Parker, you're a musician, right? That's your full-time gig. That's your job. How long have you been playing music for?
So I've been playing music. I started playing when I was 10.
Okay.
And but yeah, my full-time gig is I own a music school in Atlanta called Guitar Shed, and
cool.
And then I also am a songwriter and play out and stuff, and I've put out a few albums, done a few tours,
Cool.
kind of independent artists. So try and kind of balance those two things best I can, and having a kid,
yes.
a 1-year-old.
What made you want to start a school or a guitar school?
There is a kind of a push I got, and that was from I was in grad school in Austin, and I was about to finish the program, and I was talking to my professor, and about next steps, the next logical step would be to go get a doctorate or go become a professor somewhere. And he kind of like looked at me, he's like, you don't want to do this, man. He's like, you don't want my job. He's like, I'm in meetings all the time, and and it's like, he's like, go do your own thing. And I'm glad he really like just shot me straight and saw that in me, like that piece of me that had like some entrepreneurial spirit. And so that was, it's something I'd been thinking about. And so I just started my own school from scratch. I had like 4 students the first week we opened. It was pretty scary.
Yeah.
And now we've got like over 400. So.
Oh, dude, seriously?
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing it for?
9 years. Yeah.
Okay.
9 years. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So how do you balance personal life with running a school, your own music school, with writing your own music and everything that you're doing? Oh man.
Yeah. That's the thing, man. That's what I'm trying to, it's different every day, but I'm really lucky now. Like, I feel like we couldn't have had our kid, or with my situation, like a year earlier, like where the business is. I hired a manager last year. So I'm really kind of more in an ownership role, and I kind of manage like the admin team. Okay. And then he manages all the teachers. So, which is really great. So yeah, our business hours were open from like 1 to 8 PM, which is not great for kids, but I'm able to leave now at like 4:30 to go pick her up from daycare, which is awesome. And that would have been possible, not too long ago. So, so yeah, I'm really lucky in that respect. And in terms of writing the music, that's kind of just kind of get it in when I can.
Yeah.
I rushed to make an album, and I finished it like right before she was born. So,
was it called Last Minute Panic? Was that the name?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, I was like, oh shit. And
okay. Hold on.
So yeah.
Oh man. So how you liking being a dad, man? So this is your first one, but basically just how many months now?
So she just turned 1 on Saturday.
Okay.
So,
congrats.
So
yeah, first one.
Still.
And yeah, it's awesome, man. It's people said like, oh, it gets better every day. And I know it sounds really cliche. And there's definitely tough days, but there's, the overall arc is going up, and it's getting cooler, as she gets older, and she's just like discovering new things. And, right now, first of all, this is great that you guys do this thing where people can just like talk about their kids, and you guys like get it.
No, I mean, it's, your life changes, especially whenever you're a dad.
Yeah.
And then you're like, can I just share these stories? Cause like, I feel like I'm really excited. It's, a lot of the energy we were able to tap into is dads who are excited about how their life has changed.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like they've had the opportunity to just be like, dude, my life just changed and everything's like, this is hard, but really cool.
Yeah, totally.
So thank you. So we're here, man, we want to hear your stories. We want to hear about your excitement and your general joy of like being a dad, basically,
Yeah, totally, man. No, it's just like the little stuff. Like,
yeah, man,
tonight I was just like watering the plants, and like my wife's in the yard with me. And, we also, if that wasn't enough, we just like fostered a dog on Sunday, like after her first birthday.
Of course.
So, but he's working out really well. Like, he's super great with her, and she can like put her hand on his mouth and ears, and he's like totally cool with it.
This is fine.
Yeah. But no, it's cool. She was just like sitting out there, and then she's like just standing on the porch, and she's just like talking to me, and it's all just like blah 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 blah, but it's like conversation, and like it totally makes sense in her head, I know, but but I was trying to like treat it like a conversation. I was trying to respond to her, with different words, and have some kind of back and forth, so
it's really cool. I think like around 1 you start to realize that like they are communicating, and just because or like they have their own language basically. And like you have the opportunity to be in tune with their own language.
Yeah.
Because like realistically, she's not going to speak to you in a full sentence and tell you a story about her day, but she will motion like what her day happened and point to stuff.
Yeah.
And like you just have to like you just hope for the moment to be able to sit there and be like, hey, your daughter, even though she isn't speaking a language you understand, is still communicating with you. So get down to her eye level, see what she's trying to tell you.
Yeah.
And when you do get to that point where like you actually can just have like a couple word sentence discussion with her, oh man, it's cool.
It is really cool.
Yeah. So how
It's
old are y'all's
exciting.
kids?
Mine will be 3 in, oh man, less than a month.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Justin, sorry, speaking over you, I have an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a son who will turn 3 like 5 days before his daughter turns 3.
Okay.
But okay, so Parker, here's one of my favorite questions to ask someone who just had a 1-year-old birthday party. To me, the 1-year birthday party isn't about the kid staying alive. It's about the fact that you and your wife or partner kept that kid alive for 1
Yep.
year. It's not
Totally.
It's not really. It's you guys both looking at each other and be like, "Did we do this? This kid is still alive.
Exactly.
We can do. How is your 1-year birthday party for your daughter?
Yeah, it was exactly like that, and people kept like congratulating us, like
Yeah.
they were telling us like happy birthday.
You did it.
And I was
Yes.
like, okay, well, it's technically it's her birthday, but thank you, you know. And,
Yep.
but yeah, I had that
You
exact
guys-
same thought. I was like, we did it. Okay, now
We did it, man.
yeah,
We figured it out for at least 1 year so far.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good milestone to, you know. It's like, all right, now let's do another year.
Yep.
Yep.
Did
Keep it
when
going.
she got her cake, did she actually eat the cake, or did she stare at it terrified because everyone was singing a song at her?
No, she went right in, but my wife, she's a great baker, so she made the cake, but made
Cool.
it with some coffee in it and didn't really think
Oh,
about
no.
it. So didn't really help us out later that night. She was up all night, and
Yep.
so note to self.
Oh,
Note to self: no espresso extract
Exactly.
in anything.
So, but
but hey, lesson learned, and you won't do it again.
yeah,
Yeah. I know you in emailing back and forth. Do you have a lot of family that lives in Atlanta with you? Didn't you say like you have like some half brothers and some full brothers who are all part of your circles and part of your life?
yeah. So actually, both of our families live here in Atlanta. Like our immediate families. I've got 3 brothers, and my wife has 2 sisters. So,
Nice.
so yeah, and they've got lots of kids. So she's got a ton of cousins, and yeah, I'd say we're pretty close with everybody.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Did you have a pretty big blowout party for the 1-year birthday party?
It was just family, so it was just like all those people I
Cool.
just mentioned and the grandparents.
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't which was still a lot of people. So
Yeah.
but it wasn't like a big old thing. We just went to like the local burger joint and made a mess.
Basically, yes. Do you think, since you run a school, do you think you'll expect your daughter to want to play music? Like, does she have a choice if she wants to play music or not later on in life?
You know, I think she'll definitely be exposed to it, you know, without
Yeah.
it's a matter of like, does she want to be in lessons or not? Or like, does she want some formal instruction that's from somebody, you know? So we've got a lot of musician friends that send their kids to us and they're like, I can't teach my kid. Like somebody else needs to teach them. So I imagine it'll probably be something like that if she wants to pursue music.
Cool.
But it's, you know, it's too early to tell what's going on. But she likes when I play guitar. She definitely likes banging on stuff. So I'm hoping for drums. I think that would
That's pretty cool.
if she could play drums, I could play guitar, we can jam. That would make me
Nice.
happy.
That would be pretty cool.
Is this gonna be your one and only, or are you thinking about having another at some point?
I think what my wife says is for right now it's one, but she reserves the right to change her mind. So
Okay.
Respect.
which I'm cool with. You know, one's good. And back to my brothers. So one of my brothers has 2 kids, the other one has 3, another one has 4. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, okay.
A total of 10 kids. So I kind of like the symmetry of that. I know it's weird.
Yeah.
But
If you like it, you like it.
but yeah, I like just, you know, I think 1 is enough for me, and without getting like, you know, too
Yeah.
deep into it, you know, we had some trouble with the pregnancy and stuff, and it was just kind of scary, you know, for everybody.
Mhm.
And like before my wife even got pregnant, she had an ectopic pregnancy.
Oh man, yeah.
And that was like really dicey, and we had to go to the emergency
Yep.
room. She had to have like emergency surgery.
Yep.
And then during the pregnancy, like she was in like labor to like 8 centimeters, and they were like, "Oh, emergency C-section," you know. And
Yeah.
so just like that kind of stuff. And then, you know, you're getting the whole birth story, guys.
Yeah.
Honestly, we to be real with you, man, like it's one the aspect of a man being able to discuss the birth story is something that doesn't happen. My wife didn't have an emergency C-section with her first kid, but she was in labor for 26
Wow.
hours. And like afterwards, I was like, who do I like? Has anyone else ever experienced this?
Crazy.
Like, because it's not like you want to like you just want to know you aren't alone in what you go
Yeah.
through. So honestly, man, if you feel comfortable discussing the birth story,
Yeah.
we're here for you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. And it's just, yeah, it's something people don't talk about, and it's different for everybody. Like there's a lot of,
It is.
you know, birth stories that are just like really not eventful and beautiful and pleasant. And there's a lot of that are just like freaking scary, you know? And
Pretty much, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you know, basically emergency C-section, and it was like a scary like 1 or 2 minutes right after she was born. Like we didn't hear any noise. So we're like, oh, you know, that was like the longest 2 minutes of my life. And but she was totally fine, like no health issues, and
That's
great. And she still is great. She's awesome. Aside from an ear infection. But but then so we left the hospital, and then my wife was getting like fevers for a week.
Oh no.
And kept calling our nurse, like her nurses, and they're like, you know, that's normal, like you're fine. And then finally we were like, this is not normal. And so we like went to the emergency room. She didn't want to leave the baby with anybody, so we like took the baby with us to the emergency room. And they basically admitted her and all of us, and we were in the hospital for like another week because she had an infection from the C-section. So
Oh geez.
yeah. So yeah, Devin, it sounds like you've heard of this kind of thing before.
No, but like more just to be like, I'm sorry that was your experience. But yeah, no, you never I think whenever you go, I love the whole concept of like, what's your birth plan? Because it's just kind of a joke.
Yeah.
Like you're basically setting your intentions for something that like you have no idea if any of it's possible. And I feel like it's the first time in my life I ever had to be an advocate for my wife, you know, about her physical health. Whenever like the nurse and doctors are like, okay, we think we need to do a C-section. What do you think your wife wants? And you're like, none of this is what, like, I want my wife and kid to stay alive. And I trust you guys to know how to do that. Can you just like, I don't know why I've never studied medicine. I've never been in a birthing room before. You guys do this every day. Like, it's this really weird moment of like, you have medical professionals looking at you and being like, what do you think we should do? And you're like, that's why you guys
you guys are giving me too much power. I don't know.
Can my wife and child stay alive? Like, that'd be great.
Yeah. So it was nuts, man. And then like, so we're basically, you know, 2 weeks into parenthood, and then we're living in a hospital room together for a week, trying to figure it out. But it was also like, there were some really nice parts about that because it was just us, and there wasn't like a lot of other people involved. And they also had like a lot of like free popsicles, and, you know, and, you know, we kind of like got into like a routine, and like the nurses were great. And, but yeah, it was just, so that was that. Long story short, that kind of influences our decision to, you know, it's like, well, that was pretty crazy. Do we want to do that again?
It really does though. My second child had seizures whenever she was born. So we spent a week we went to the emergency room and then got admitted. And then there's like a 3 or 4 year gap between my second and third kid, because whenever she turned 2, I think was the first time we looked up and we're like, okay, are we done having kids? Because up until then it was like, I don't want to like, seizures are hereditary in my family. So it's like, cool. So we could potentially have the first kid didn't have them, second kid have them. So that reality of like, okay, we have a 50% chance of going through this whole process again. Do you want to do that again? No, I don't.
Yeah.
Like, am I being pessimistic about if it'll happen again? I am. But also, like, I'm glad we had Josh, clearly. But it does take distance and time from that traumatic or big of an event before you look at your wife and are like, all right, how do we really feel about this now that like our memory is kind of hazy on how this actually felt during the moments?
Yeah. So what made you change your mind? Just time and
Time, pretty much. Yeah. Honestly, time. My wife and I, like when you turn 35, you're technically a geriatric pregnancy and you go through like a bunch of other medical stuff. We were 33 and we were like, okay, are we done having kids? Because if we want a third kid, we kind of in the next year or two need to do that. So we were kind of like, all right, if by the time we turn 34, we aren't pregnant, then we're good. And at like I think it took us like 9 months of trying before we got pregnant. Okay. So we were like within 3 months of being like, all right, cool. Guess we're a 2-kid family. But yeah, no, I still feel in tune with the helplessness, the wanting to scream, the wanting people to know how to do their jobs because I expect them to do their jobs. I remember sitting in the room still and like the neurology team, like sending nurses to tell us updates, but not coming down to tell us the updates and being like, can that team come and tell us what's happening? Because like, I can't like, you're just a middleman right now. And I'm sorry, that's rude to say to the nurse, but like, also you're talking about my kid's brainwaves. Like before you order the EKG, can you come and talk to me about what you're looking for, please? And I think that's one of the weird things about parenting is you didn't know the ways you needed to advocate for people that you love until you're in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that feeling, man, which you're just like in the dark, it's like, what's going on here? We're lucky that we have a lot of friends that are actually like doctors and physicians. And it wasn't until like we called one of them and they were the first person that was like, you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, we didn't hear that from anybody at the hospital, the whole week. And it's like, that's all we needed to hear, So yeah, it's tough, man.
Yeah. You just need to know you're not alone.
Yeah.
And that gives you so much more power to just power through it.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think most medical professionals are trying to go based off of certainty. And there's no certainty with medical stuff because every human body reacts differently. Yeah. So they don't want to give you a false hope, but also you're like, where's my hope?
Exactly. Yeah. Could use a little bit of that right now.
A little bit of hope. I know I'm not the first person to go through this scenario, and I know there's a lot of different outcomes. Can you just give me some trust that you're here with me as we go through this? And that'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of other factors too. It's like they're overworked and busy and like running in a million different directions, trying to, make sure everything is going smoothly, and it's like, we're looking at people like on the same hall as us. Like there were people there for like months, and like we were there for a week. It felt like an eternity. So it's like there are people like just way worse off than us. And we walked by like a door with like people with twins and we're like, oh God, so,
Yes. But here's the advice I would give you or say is to hire a doula. I'm a big advocate for doulas because they sit in the room with you. They help you know what normal is and they help you advocate in ways you didn't know you needed to advocate.
At what point did you get your doula?
I should know this answer. We didn't for the first kid. We did for the second one. And definitely had one for the third one. Maybe like a month or two out, something like that. But also, we did natural or vaginal births. Justin, I know you did C-section.
Yeah, but
so I feel like it's a different world with a doula whenever you're doing a C-section. They still are very helpful.
The C-section thing, man, that was like, they told me to suit up. I suited up, stood in a hallway for a little bit. They told me to come in. I sat next to Haley. They cut her open, brought out the baby.
Yeah.
I got to hold it for a little bit. She got to hold it for a little bit. They sutured her back up, and then we were done. It was within a half an hour process.
And was it scheduled?
Yes. Yeah. She had gestational diabetes, and we were, I think at that point, 7 days past her due date. So they're like, if you're not going into labor at all by this time, let's just go ahead and do the C-section. And she showed no signs at all, and we just had it. But she's on the fence about having a C-section or vaginal
really?
birth for the second one.
Yeah.
So I was wondering about the doula and at what point, which is
I mean,
about right
if she
now or so.
wants to, yeah. I mean, I can look up who we use and everything and send you the information
Cool.
if you want to look into it. I'm not sure the time frames and everything.
But yeah, we had a postpartum doula, which was
Okay.
which was great, and
Yep.
she basically just came like for maybe the day after we got back from the hospital, and like 4 or 5 hours, and we'd been in contact with her like leading up to everything and afterwards too, but she just like walked us through everything, like some diaper changes, baths, like,
Yeah.
you know, she just gave us like the whole manual, like had us like film videos of her doing stuff, and that was super
Yeah.
helpful.
Cool.
So
I never knew that was a service.
yeah, me either.
Yeah. Yeah. Normally, if you and when you hire a doula, they'll do like maybe 2 visits afterwards just to check up on you, see how you're healing,
Oh,
see how
cool.
everything's going.
Had no
Yeah.
idea.
Well, I mean, it's the one thing we try to talk about a lot in doing an episode is just what resources might exist to someone. Because yeah, you have your first child and you literally hold that kid and you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And people say it with like a joking tone, but literally, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just need a vague guide of some sort to tell me, like, did I put the diaper on backwards? Like, and like just stupid stuff like that even.
Yeah.
But did you have a pretty positive experience with your doula or your
she was
post-care
awesome.
doula?
I mean, like we recommended her to everybody. Like all of our friends are now like, there's been a whole wave of kids from our friends, and they've all used her, and she's awesome. So,
did you in your friend group were you like later to have kids, or were you like or were you like one of the first to have kids?
It's kind of a complicated answer. There's been like 2 waves. So there was like a bunch of our friends. I'm 38. So a bunch of our friends had kids like in their late 20s, early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then like I was the first of like another group of my close friends. And like we've all had a kid like within a year of each other. So, so that's been pretty neat. So yeah, it's kind of like two waves going on.
With your wife having an atopic pregnancy, I feel like I've heard in some scenarios in which a woman has to then get like a hysterectomy afterwards.
Oh.
So I'm just saying, I'm grateful for you that like, even though you went through that experience, you guys were able to get pregnant. She was able to give birth afterwards, because that's, I've heard of situations where that's not what
that was thought that crossed our mind. It's like, you know, this might be it, you know, and
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Man, they are.
It was, she was just having like abdominal pains. And then again, it was like something didn't feel right. And we went in and they were like, you need to go have emergency surgery. We're like, great. So,
yeah. I think that's an element of being a dad also that doesn't get discussed a lot, is sometimes you go in for a doctor's appointment just being like, oh, maybe you've got gas or something. Maybe the baby's sitting on a nerve weird. And then a doctor looks at you and says, we're going into surgery in the next 20 minutes.
That's nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. So Justin, about your second kid, about to be
sorry, it's kind of harrowing. Everything's gonna be fine, dude.
No, but it's
man.
I think everything will be fine for you, Justin.
I sure hope so. Knock on wood. Jeez, Pete.
You'll be good.
Not what I need to hear before I have my second.
No, you've still got like 5 weeks, right? You've got like 5 or 6 weeks. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. No, thank you for being willing to discuss it all, because I do think it's a very big realm of like anxiety and PTSD that men experience, but rarely get to discuss.
Sure, man. And we're not even the ones that it's happening to. You know,
exactly. Yeah. You're just like, sitting there hanging out.
But people don't realize how mentally fatigued dads really are until you become one.
Totally.
I never respected dads until I became one. Was like, oh shit, okay, all right. I was a dick to him for everything that he did for me.
But I think that's the cycle of child versus parent, though. Is you do anything that your dad did before, and you're like, I should be a nicer person.
Well, yeah, I feel like
Oh,
I've
man.
gotten like the first 6 months, I felt like I was like, I'm not like super, super tired. And then I feel like
Yeah.
I've gradually just gotten more tired as the months go
Yep.
on. But I don't know if there's any correlation to that or.
It is funny though, because I feel like whenever I had two kids, like whenever they would go down to sleep, if my wife was like out with friends or something like that, I would like deep clean. I'd like wipe down the kitchen. I'd do something like that. And now with like a third kid, I'm just like, she leaves to like go do something. And I'm like, if I get all three kids asleep by the time you get back, I feel like I'm a successful person.
Oh, for sure. That's a win.
Yes, basically. What do you feel like there's any life lessons or anything you've learned since having a kid now that you've reached like the 1 year mark, or anything that like you feel like has drastically changed in the last year for you?
You know, somebody asked me a similar question recently. He was like, what's like the biggest things change? I was like, it's not that I have less time, but it's just like time is just kind of changed, and
Yep.
any free time I have, I need to be like really intentional about it. And it's like, what's the best use of my free time? It could be exercising, or it could be practicing guitar, or it could be journaling, or it could be just like sitting there and watching TV, and like whatever that moment needs, I try and just be kind of a little more intentional about it. And so
And in ways you become a very efficient person.
Yeah.
Well, all your tasks or whatever you're doing in life.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have figured that out with just the one kid. So Devin, geez.
You are underestimating how okay with mess I am around the house. That's probably the factor that you aren't factoring in. Also, clean as I go whenever I cook. So like there's usually not a ton of dishes to do afterwards, except for like the place you eat on and stuff. So yeah, you figure out weird survival things where you look up and you're like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but here I am.
I need to figure out how to clean as I go. I make a big mess when I cook. It's just like stuff everywhere.
It's whenever you have like the bake time or the cook time, that's whenever you go to clean it. So like if I make noodles or something like that, and while I'm waiting for the water to boil, I make sure everything is as reset as I can. And then like after, whenever they're cooking, I like double check stuff again and like things like that. So
that made me think of I'm the same way as you, Devin, on kind of cleaning as you go. Haley is not. And every time that she cooks, I'm like, did you have to use every single dish? Because I'm the one that has to do the dishes after. Yeah.
Really?
I'm just like, oh my gosh. But I probably do the exact same thing. I just do it.
Probably. You just don't realize it.
It's just.
Well, Parker, for your family, who does the most like the grocery shopping and cooking and all that?
That's like 95% me. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
cool.
I dig it. Like I like grocery shopping and I do like cooking and stuff. But again, it's like those are time consuming things, and
they are.
Do you ever take her with you grocery shopping?
We've done it a couple times, but most of the time, no. Just because it's just like it's easier for me just to go by myself and just like knock it out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's a little sliver of alone time for you.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I do most of the cooking and that stuff, but it's even like less. Like that occupies time too. So it's like you got to figure out. That's every day is like, okay, how can I get all these things done?
Yeah. And also, since your daughter's one, she like you want to include her, but there's only so much. It's really hard to figure out how to include a 1-year-old whenever you're chopping up a carrot.
Yeah, it's
just wait until she turns 3, and then she just wants to like do everything that you're doing in the kitchen.
Well, we had her like at the table, like we've got kind of open floor plan in our kitchen, and she was for a while like I would feed her stuff, and she'd just be with her back to me, like while I had my back to her while I was cooking, and then I just like flipped her around one day, so she's like basically just like watching a cooking show, and she's just just munching away, like entertained.
That's so cool, though.
That seems to be working well.
Of all the things I hope to pass on to my kids, I do hope the ability to cook and the wanting to cook is one thing I really hope all three of my kids want to
it's
do.
important. It's important skill, man. And it's like, I think people take it for granted, you know. Especially like if you don't have to, if you're learning to cook as you become a dad, like that could be difficult, I would imagine.
Yep.
What are some of the your favorite dishes?
I make a good shrimp scampi. So I like that. I like chicken fried rice. I like making soups. Salads. We try and eat like pretty healthy. So just stuff with like, you know, fresh fruits, vegetables, that kind of stuff.
Cool.
What area of Atlanta do you live in? I used to have some family that lived in Decatur.
Yeah, we're not far from Decatur, and my school's not either. I'm in Candler Park, which is kind of near Little 5 Points. It's right in like the city of Atlanta. So she's gonna be a city kid for sure. Like the MARTA, our train like runs right at the top of the street.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, we can walk to like a little market and all kinds of stuff. So
do you ever go to like the massive farmers market that's in Decatur where they had like, do you know which one I'm talking about? The seasoning aisles there, I dream about sometimes.
It's great. Yeah, so. It's DeKalb Farmers Market. Yeah, and it's like
that's it. Yep.
It's like a giant building. It's not like an outdoor farmers market.
No, cool. It's like a warehouse of spices.
Yeah, like great seafood and like all kinds of international food. It's amazing. Yeah, they got everything you need, man. And we've got some good like outdoor, you know, every Saturday farmers market. I'm sure you guys get all that stuff too.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Yeah, of course.
Those are fun to go to. And
Parker, how we end all of our episodes is we ask every dad the same 5 questions. Okay. It's not rapid fire. Sure. You have time to think about it, but just some fun dad questions that you probably, it's like, oh, I haven't thought of an answer to that before. So Justin will ask the first question.
Parker, did you have any backup names for your baby girl?
Yes, we did. Lucy, we're really close to naming her Lucy. And then I just looked at my wife and I was like, she's not a Lucy. And like had been calling her that. And then my wife was just like, how about Ophelia? I was like, that's it. And there was like no hesitation. So so she's Ophelia, named after a song by the band.
How does it feel that the Lumineers came out with a song called Ophelia probably around the same time?
It's a source of contention because everybody asks us, oh yeah, the Lumineers song. We're like,
Lumineers song.
Yeah, sure. Whatever. Yes, they have a song called
Correct.
Ophelia. Yeah.
Next question. Do you have a favorite TV dad?
Favorite TV dad? You know, Al Bundy was pretty great.
Yep.
So that's like the first one that comes to mind. Yeah.
You know, it's not necessarily what TV dad you aspire to be so much as it is, if I say who's your favorite TV dad, who pops in your head?
That's the first one that popped in my head.
Do you have next question, do you have a least favorite kid show? One that she watches or one that you watched when you were a kid? If she doesn't watch much
you
TV?
know, we're trying to like not watch a ton of TV. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's just like, I don't know. I hear a lot about Bluey. Is that a thing?
Yeah, Bluey is one of the cool ones. Because
okay, good.
Because Bandit, you're just like, damn it, he is the best dad ever.
Yeah,
I'm sure I'll learn all about but right now I don't have a least favorite one.
Do any of your nieces or nephews watch a show where whenever they start talking about it, you're like, God, this show seems so dumb? Because sometimes that can also be in that realm.
They have definitely some of that. And but it's funny, like some of my nieces and nephews, like one of them's like really into yard work, so he just watches like
heck yeah.
What?
Yeah, he watches just like YouTube videos of like people doing yard work. I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah. He's watching pressure washing videos in his free time.
Really interested in like the landscape maintenance,
the tools,
all the tools, the weed eaters, the tractors, the mowers and stuff like that. I'm in the landscape business.
Justin.
Man, this is your future. We got a future employee for you.
Justin, does your company do internships?
We can, yeah, but we also have.
Or do you have a YouTube
No,
channel?
I do
really,
not have a
is the
YouTube
question.
channel.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
I don't know where Gainesville, Georgia is, but we do have an office there compared to
Okay, that's not far.
Atlanta.
I'll
Yeah.
let them know.
Maybe your nephew can be a content
There you
creator of
There
yard
you go.
work
There you
for
go.
Justin's company down the line.
Yeah.
So it's a networking podcast now.
But heck yeah, I really
awesome.
hope Ada is kind of like that as she gets older. But who knows? I'd like for her to come work for me. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a question we asked Dad? It's not one of the 5 questions. Do you also feel confused by YouTube content? Like the stuff you find on YouTube, I feel like I could look at it. I'm like, wait, there's a whole series of people just mowing their yard and I can watch it for hours.
Yeah. It's just a endless black hole. Anything and everything. You could go down as deep as you want.
Yep.
Which is cool, I guess. But yeah. But yeah, I try to stay away from that, you know.
Oh man, you can go down a deep, dark rabbit hole on YouTube for sure.
I end up doing a lot of I like soccer a lot, so I'll watch like random recaps of like, okay, the 2006 World Cup. Let's watch every goal from that World Cup, and then look up 40 minutes later, and I'm still watching every goal from a different World Cup, and I'm like, Devin, it's like midnight. What are you doing? Go to bed. That's real dad life moments. Next question. Do you have a favorite kid's toy? Like when Ophelia plays with it, you actually enjoy playing it with her?
Yes. I think there's one that's like a Jack in the Box kind of thing that I like. Like it pops up, you know. That's pretty cool. There's, you know, it's just like whenever you can like get a laugh from, really.
Yes.
And we've got like, I like the stuff that makes noises too, like the stuff with like a xylophone, like stuff that's musical. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would say like
that makes sense.
The stuff that moves and the stuff that's musical, you know, the more like kinetic things.
Awesome.
Yep. Cool.
All right, next question. What is one moment of your kid's life you are most excited to be a part of?
Whew.
What comes first to your mind?
I'm excited for her to like, honestly, like to like walk to school.
Okay.
You know, and like, because we've got a school we can walk to. Like,
awesome.
You know, I'm excited for her to like be able to walk to school, like with her backpack and like, you know, like walk with her, and then also like when she can go by herself and like be independent. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I will say that whenever your kid does go to kindergarten or school, it is like a very like, I think one of the cool things about being a parent is you have to revisit your own childhood so much. And that's one of those moments that I was surprised by how like reflective it made me whenever you do actually take your kid to kindergarten and you're like, hey, you're about to start a journey of education and socializing and defining yourself. And oh, cool. This is the next really big phase for you. Do this together. We got this.
I'm sure there's other things too, but that's the one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
First.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, that's the 5 questions. Yes, you did it. You answered all of them. This is also a time where if you wanted to like promote your school or anything like that, like if we want to get to know you better, do you want to promote like your Instagram, school, anything like that? Any promotion opportunity you want to take?
Yeah, that'd be great. So the school, it's called Guitar Shed. GuitarShedATL.com is the website. And we're located in Kirkwood in Atlanta. We do much more than guitar, despite the name. Piano, drums, all kinds of stuff. Adults and kids. And then for my music stuff, it's Parker Smith Songs is the Instagram. It's also the website is parkersmithsongs.com. You guys can find me there. But yeah.
Are you recording anything new, releasing anything new, or just trying to survive?
For right now, you know, I've been trying like a 3-year album cycle. So I've kind of got this year to do some writing, and I'd like to start recording a little bit next year. So, yeah.
Sweet. Cool. Well, let us know whenever you release something new. We'll promote it for you. Help you get the word out there. Thanks, and stuff. Man, but Parker, dude, thanks for spending some time with us tonight, discussing your birth story, discussing your life. We really
it's
appreciate
nice
it.
meeting you guys. Thanks for reaching out.
Yeah. Of course, if you're in Denver ever again, man, hit me up. We'll go to Walk Red Rocks together and be like, what a cool spot. This is a
that'd
cool
be great.
spot. But sincerely, thanks, Parker, man. We really appreciate it.
See you guys. Take care.
Thanks so much for listening. Please make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at the Nashville Dads, and make sure to follow us on anywhere you find your podcast, and please give us a 5-star rating. And thank you to Matt Oakes for providing the music for the episode. Catch you next time.